Diablo Immortal is something we've been waiting for a while. It's taking a long time to come out, and I'm okay with that because I know Blizzard wants to bring us the best possible mobile gaming action RPG experience. But there's a problem about that. Other people coming in, copying what Diablo Immortal is doing and putting their game out first. Today, we're going to take a look at that. What is up, my friends? My name is Echo, and welcome back to the channel where we are looking at this game. This game is called Immortal Awakening. These are the classes that you could choose. Your barbarian style classes we're seeing right here. We have the demon hunter style class. These kind of look familiar now, don't they? We have a necromancer style class, and I believe the first one was a wizard style class. Now, there's a lot of things about these games that are different than Diablo Immortal, but there's a lot in here that's similar as well. So first thing that I noticed right now when I'm watching this is it looks a little choppy. It looks a little laggy.
Yo, you lagging? Nah! Yo, nah!
Things don't look clean right now, and you know, it is what it is. Now there's gonna be these lines going across the screen quite often in the video. I don't know what it means. I'm not translating all of them. You know, we're just not going that route. But I will say that they at least put efforts in right here into cinematics and things like that. Something that we notice is the game starts very similar to Diablo Immortal as well, where you have to take on some very basic starting enemies with a basic starting attack. We're going to call this the Demon Hunter, although it's not the true Demon Hunter, taking you through the initial stage as what happens in Diablo Immortal when you get to the beach, when you finally pull your ship to shore and you get off and you then encounter your first few enemies. Now, here, it's very similar, but it's a tutorial portion of the game. So what I plan to do is kind of show you what's being done here and then talk about why this is a problem for Blizzard. And I guess we can get into why it's a problem right now, because Diablo Immortal is taking forever. I started my channel 2.5 years ago, and I've been covering Diablo Immortal on the channel since that time, which is when it was, you know, announced. This game has been in development for 3.5-4 years, this game being Diablo Immortal. So now we're coming across our first boss right here. Kind of cool looking. Have to say, he's got quite the gut on him. But not only that, the graphics here are definitely subpar when comparing to the graphics of Diablo Immortal. But will Diablo Immortal be in trouble with games like this coming out? And there's going to be more. There probably are already more that are in the making or ready to go. Let's say Diablo Immortal is going to come out for 2 more months. This game comes out today. Will this game take away from audience that's just hungry for Diablo Immortal? Now, when you go to the App Store and you search Diablo Immortal, guaranteed this game is going to come up because it's called Immortal Awakening. Immortal is in the name, and that's done purposefully. That's done so that when people search for Diablo Immortal, this game comes up in the title. Now, it looks like they came and found their little home base right here. They found their village, and they're going to continue through the tutorial. Now, could this be a game that's being created and just maybe had a little influence from Blizzard in the Diablo Immortal title? Or do you think this is one that is a straight rip off of Diablo Immortal? We know that the name is definitely a rip, and there's a big purpose behind that. The classes are pretty darn similar to Diablo Immortal as well, although there are only 4 classes instead of the 6. And I wonder if the depth of the game is there. Now, I only have a 13-minute preview of this game. There has not been much more for me to take a look at just yet. But I would find it hard to believe that Immortal Awakening has as much depth, as much to do inside of it as Diablo Immortal. My anticipation would be you go through some stages and you just are eventually going through like a campaign of a game. You could probably team up with others, maybe, but it's gonna be it. I don't think there's gonna be much more depth beyond that. Now, if we even look at the attack bar, let's compare that to Diablo Immortal. Can we compare that to Diablo Immortal, please? It's a blatant copy right here. Now, with that being said, Blizzard does use a very generic HUD, something that we're used to seeing, right? Something that we're comfortable with in action RPGs. But even look at the upgrade bar in the bottom of the screen. You see that blue bar down at the bottom? That blue bar is, as you progress, the blue bar comes over towards the right side of the game. Once it gets all the way to the right, it will be your progression, your upgrade to the next level. And yeah, no other game is using that I know of besides Diablo Immortal. So you have the buttons on the right, exactly the same setup. You have the upgrade on the bottom, and I believe that you fill up your attack button, and that is going to let you know when you're ready for your special, your super, or your ultimate. Now, we've made jokes in the past about Diablo Immortal, jokes that had to do with me having spoken about everything about the game, to the point of how I would talk about the blades of grass inside of the game. If you're around here and you know what that actually means, that means you've been around the channel forever and you've been on the grind with me. Thank you, guys. But what I was really talking about was the detail in the scenery inside of the environments in the game. Let's look at the environments here. The ground looks very smooth. It doesn't look porous at all. It looks like every rock is just shiny and wet. Now, I do like the lighting effects that are being used on the ground, but it doesn't look real. They look like freshly cleaned tile floors inside of your house, nice and bright and shiny, which isn't what you would expect to see in a realm like this, where you would expect to see something that's gritty and dungy and, you know, just a little bit dark, a little bit more beaten up. Oh, Skeleton King much? Yeah. That is the Skeleton King. And I don't know who that was just talking in my ear, but you probably heard him too. Yeah, so can we get a picture of the Skeleton King side by side with the picture of this guy, please? Thank you. My editor, he's the best. This is why we love working with him. They straight up ripped the Skeleton King out of Diablo Immortal here. With that being said, pretty small area to fight in. Looks like he is teaming up with another player, so maybe it is a little bit more of a massive multiplayer open game. One thing I'm noticing though is the health bar on top of the Skeleton King is different than in Diablo Immortal. It was one bar across rather than being one with the dots afterward for the multiple tiers of health bars that you have to go through. You know, it's a mix of like a Black Desert Mobile and a Diablo Immortal. The elements of like how many people are there, when I'm watching it right now in this little village, it reminds me of Black Desert Mobile. This scene right there that kind of melts away in a really cheesy way reminds me of Diablo Immortal, but Diablo Immortal doesn't do it in a cheesy way, right? But the battle mechanics, the characters, the enemies, they look like Diablo Immortal, while some of the other elements of the game seem like Black Desert Mobile. So I'm going to ask you, the community, because again, it's what we do here on the channel. Do you think Diablo Immortal is at risk of losing players to games like Immortal Awakening? Will a game of this caliber be able to steal players from Diablo Immortal? Because here's the thing. If I were to download this today and start playing and play on a regular basis and even invest money in the game, and then Diablo Immortal came out and it was better, would I drop this experience that I've spent this much time in, that I've done so much in, to go to a new game? I personally would leave this game to go to Diablo Immortal, but would others that maybe don't spend often in games but decide to spend some money in this one, or put 100 or 200 hours into this game, would they want to just leave that behind to play another game in the same genre? Now look at this. Here's our Necromancer. See, all of this reminds me of Diablo Immortal. Just a more budget version of it, right? So the question of the day is, should Blizzard Diablo Immortal be worried about these kinds of games? Clearly, they're not as in-depth, not as good as Diablo Immortal is going to be. But will it cause a problem for them at some point in time? Possibly. Will a game like this get in trouble for stealing elements of other games like Diablo Immortal? I'm not sure, because we've seen this type of thing done in many other games before, where elements of games were clearly stolen from larger influences. Not sure if that could be done here. I don't know if there's any like ownership property of the way things look and stuff like that in gaming. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer for gaming, and I'm not a developer for gaming. I'm just a guy that likes to play games and talk about them on the internet. Here we are. Let me know what you guys think about this topic. Are there other games that you think have similar characteristics to Diablo Immortal that you'd like me to check out here on the channel? Because I'd be happy to. Your thoughts will be viewed in the comment section below. While you're down there, make sure you subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out the next time I'm here with you guys, which will be very soon. And make sure you check the pinned comment for all my socials. Have a great day, guys, and be good.